Well, hello everyone, this is CJ with Cyclotron. Well, it came to my attention yesterday from an alert viewer that Harley Davidson announced a 2-week suspension in production of motorcycles at their York, Pennsylvania facility. Of course, it's the only assembly facility for motorcycles they have in the United States. They also have a production facility in Thailand for bikes going to the EU. So if you compare the information that was released during their earnings call 3 weeks ago to the limited information in this press release, there's some cause for concern for Harley going forward this year from a financial standpoint. Clearly, Wall Street didn't like this news. Their stock dropped 10% after the announcement of the suspension in production. Now, in this earnings call from 3 weeks ago, Harley indicated that supply chain issues were really starting to hamper production, particularly in the last part of the first quarter this year in March. So Harley indicated the reason they suspended production for 2 weeks is related to a component made by a third-party vendor. They didn't say exactly who this vendor was or what the component was. They did indicate that it was related to a compliance issue and that it would not affect production of the electric Livewire division motorcycles. So I don't really want to speculate, but just out of curiosity, you would think that might be related to emission control compliance, something with the exhaust system perhaps, maybe an oxygen sensor, who knows. It's really amazing to me for a publicly traded company how Harley's able to keep this information so close to the vest. I mean, there are other implications here that I would like to explore. Did this component affect recently shipped motorcycles? Is there going to be a recall? I think the most important aspect of this announcement is the fact that during the earnings call, Harley indicated that their motorcycle inventory is down from a 10-week period to a 2-week period. It's meaning that motorcycles on average are at a dealership under 2 weeks before they're purchased by a customer. So if they have a 2-week inventory or less and they're going to have a 2 weeks suspension in production, logically, that tells you they're going to run out of motorcycles here in the next couple of weeks. So if you're looking to buy a Harley Davidson right now, new or used, you probably ought to pull the trigger pretty quickly. Some other interesting tidbits from that earnings call is Harley indicated that their average motorcycle sales price was within 2% of MSRP. So they're getting full price for their motorcycles. They also indicated in response to analysts' concerns about tightening supply chain issues as to whether Harley would be able to maintain their production throughout the year. The first quarter of 2022 and the first quarter of 2021, it appears that Harley was operating at full production capacity when they shipped 50,000 motorcycles in the first quarter of each of those years. Last year, Harley shipped about 183,000 motorcycles. So that would suggest that the York facility is producing their maximum around 150,000 motorcycles each year, and perhaps the other 30,000 coming from the Thailand plant for shipment to the EU. You could see the confluence of issues here. If dealers don't have motorcycles to sell and there's been a limited supply, such that they're adding surcharges and all kinds of fees to motorcycle sales, it's only going to get worse for the foreseeable future. Harley indicated that really they're not overly concerned about supply chain issues because they can just, in essence, keep raising the price because they're doing everything they can to ensure strong demand for their motorcycles, which is a smart business move. However, you have to question at what point do the high prices and lack of supply start to create what's called demand destruction, where people just say, forget it, I'm just not going to buy a motorcycle, or I'll buy a different brand of motorcycle, or I'll just simply wait. Couple that with all the signs of a pending recession, the road ahead's pretty fraught with peril for Harley Davidson, as it seems to be more often than not these days. So, you know, it's just sort of interesting to me. I don't want to keep talking about Harley all the time, but they are the most interesting motorcycle manufacturer out there, just full of drama. You don't have to be part of the drama. You know, you have to wonder, did this component come from a vendor that they switched to in order to solve some supply chain issues? It's pretty amazing that a single vendor could really take out Harley's production. And who knows if they can even resolve it within a 2-week period. It's sort of odd that they would have that specific of an outage. We'll see if it gets extended. They did indicate that the chip shortage is seriously impacting their ability to ship motorcycles. So I know there are manufacturers like Samsung's getting ready to build a huge, like $17 billion chip fabrication facility outside of Austin, Texas. But those types of plants won't come online for another year and a half. So may not be any near-term relief for vehicle manufacturers on the chip issue, but we'll see. So if you have any thoughts about this, have you been to a local dealership? Have you seen very thin inventory? Have you experienced take it or leave it sales type practices? I'd be curious about what your experience has been at your local Harley dealership. So please let me know in the comments section, and thanks for watching. Please stay tuned for future videos.